Welcome everybody to our Pyramid Analytics webinar, Data to Decision. This topic today is Evolve or Get Left Behind, Pyramid and SAP for Retail. I am so excited today because not only am I being joined by one of my regulars, Joe Bovian of Pyramid Analytics, but I'm also being joined by Florian Roeder of SAP. We've got an action-packed agenda for you today. I'm going to kick it off with a quick intro to Pyramid Analytics. We're going to follow that with a pyramid demo showcase by Joe. Then we're going to pass the ball over to Florian to talk about SAP DataSphere, Unleash the Power of Business Data in Retail. Then I'm going to follow that with how Pyramid supports SAP DataSphere, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So buckle up and get ready. If you're not familiar with Pyramid Analytics, we have a decision intelligence platform, or what's next in analytics. What we've done is we built from the ground up a platform that combines the very best of data prep, business analytics, and data science all in one frictionless platform. It is a no-code platform, and it is business user-centric, and we can do things from the simple to the sophisticated. We want to cover the gamut depending on the sophistication of your business users. We work directly on your data estate, any data, any platform, any application. We work directly against the data. Specifically, we work directly against SAP, and we're going to talk more about that and the business value that we can help provide along with SAP on that. But from a scalability and performance standpoint, our direct query engine is best in class, and we offer you the fastest direct query in the market. We're also very flexible in how you want to be deployed, whether you want to deploy on-prem, whether you want to deploy in the cloud, or a hybrid of the two. And we do have elastic compute architecture, so that will give you that elasticity when it comes to cloud architecture. So we offer the cover the gamut with that with our platform. Give you an idea of the breadth of functionality of what we're providing with Pyramid. We start with your raw data. And again, in a perfect world, everybody's running on SAP, but we understand that you may have other data sources out there as well. But with our data prep and data science built in, we create that virtual semantic layer and get to the data directly that you've got there. Anything inside your data estate. So multi-source direct data source access is something that we do very well. But then once we have access to that data, the question becomes, wow, what do we do with it? And this is where the breadth of functionality of the Pyramid platform comes into play. We want to solve the business challenges that you have at hand. But what we're able to do is start off with robust reporting, visualizations, dashboards. Very easy to do that for you and populate that for you. But we also help define shared business logic, shared calculations throughout your organization, all with data governance in place. What we also provide is that last mile analysis. If you typically have some business users that are looking to do that last mile analysis against your data and they pull it into Excel, well, that opens up a challenge for you regarding data latency, data governance, lack of security, multiple versions of the truth, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've built into our platform is a module that gives you that Excel-like experience all from within our platform, all driven from our browser. So we have that capability in there for you as well, along with prescriptive analytics that's there. So not only business modeling, but decision modeling as well. But we also provide with our platform is that ability, is that presentation layer. What is it that you want to deliver? Is it a multi-source dashboard of different components that you built previously? Is it something that you want to publish out and distribute amongst your business users, or even burst that out depending on a particular sort break criteria? Or maybe it's simply a data-driven infographic based upon your data, but visually and very compelling. You're going to deliver that to your business users. We offer a lot of flexibility in our approach when it does come to analytics. And again, anything inside your data estate, including SAP. We happen to have some of the best world-class integration with SAP, and I'll talk about that shortly as well. That being said, I'm going to pass the ball over to Joe Bovian and let him actually show you what we can do. Joe?
All right, thank you so much, Chris. So what we have planned for the next 15 minutes or so is to go right into that tight integration with SAP, and I want to look at it from a couple different personas, because not everyone is someone who's going to author and build content. There are those end users that, from a retail perspective, maybe at the store or shop level, want to consume that information. They want to be able to ask questions of their SAP data, right? What are those experiences going to be like? And so that's what we're going to talk through here. So as you can see here, everything we're going to do from a pyramid perspective is web-based, right? There are no thick clients. There are no installs on your desktops. We know the challenges and the governance and the risk associated with that approach. So everyone, regardless of who you are and how you're accessing the platform, will be doing it through a browser. Now, you heard Chris walk through the different components that make up a decision intelligence platform. We're going to dive right in to that discover, right, and how we access and leverage the existing investment you made at SAP. So for this persona, I am an author of content. I'm someone who's been asked to go do some analysis and to do that against my SAP systems. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to immediately have, my favorite sources, SAP, non-SAP, anything recently I've worked with. And you can see that this data catalog gives me a wide range of different use cases and data assets that are made available to me based on my permissions within the platform. But if I'm looking for a source maybe that's not inside of there, maybe it's a BW or a HANA, I want to be able to very quickly access those databases that sit within your SAP systems and understand two things that are happening right now. When we're accessing this data, we're doing it in a direct query way. I'm never going to ask you to move your data out of SAP, right? We all know the challenges with that. When you do it, you lose your hierarchies, you lose your calculations, you lose your security, all of that structure you spent lots of money on to make sure it works really well is lost the second you have to move it out. Pyramid built our integration with SAP in a way that allows me to take advantage of that semantic layer on top of SAP that you've set up without having to replicate or duplicate any of that logic. So I can see here I have a number of different models that are coming directly from SAP, but that's not exactly how it looks. What it actually looks like is a bunch of CDS calculated views that are inside of here, right? Or I have my large, a HANA cube that I want to be able to go after in this particular example. And you're going to see as I open any one of these up, all of the structure, all of the calculations, everything is preserved inside of here and coming directly from that SAP source that is in HANA that we are pointing the pyramid platform at right now. So here are your different folder structures, your hierarchies, all of that inside of here, even your little bit more difficult parent-child hierarchies that are happening inside of here. For us, it's as easy as dropping these items in, looking at our different, metrics that might be coming inside of there, and all of that logic and structure is fully respected by the pyramid platform. Even being able to, again, talking about that ragged or parent-child hierarchy, I can actually drag in that employee structure, something like that, and you're going to see that it's going to provide me with everything that I need in there, regardless of how that looks in the SAP system. So immediately we're able to take advantage of all that logic and rapidly build out reports, visuals as needed inside of here. Now I'm going to go into another example where I actually want to look at my BW data. So as you know, this is pulling again directly from my BW source. I want to be able to look at my EMP data, my MPPOs, and again with BW, I'm able to leverage those BEX queries, right, that you've been creating for years and years. I want to be able to leverage that, any of the parameterization and things like that that are made available. But I also might want to go after that cube. And this typically scares people, which is why they build so many BEX queries. But what you're going to see with our direct query is that I can go after that with no concern whatsoever. If I look at some of my options, we obviously support multi-language. So in the interest of the rest of the demo, we'll keep that to English. I want to be able to have things like key dates supported, so I can go back to a point in time, so I can understand, what did my data look like back then. But ultimately, I want to open this up, and I want to be able to immediately query that SAP data. Now, there are a number of other integration capabilities that you're missing when you extract the data. If I were to start here with maybe my customer, and I want to look at my gross amounts, and I want to look at my order quantities inside of here. A couple of things you should immediately be noticing. One, all of my different currencies that are coming through here, right? All my formatting is as it is created inside of SAP. Also, if I wanted to look at this Becker Berlin, we know that there are a lot of hidden attributes that make up the data that's sitting inside of SAP. Let's expose those. That could be really helpful for someone in this role who's trying to do that analysis. Also, I want to hide or show those properties. I actually want to use those properties inside of my query. So now I'm able to take this further than what I was likely able to do when extracting that data or using another analytics tool. So we have this. Now, there's a couple things I want to be able to do. First and foremost, I want to create something like a new ratio, right? And so very quickly, I want to be able to create that ratio with a couple different clicks. I want to be able to, rename this obviously to ratio. Okay, set sort orders, formats, things like that. But that's a good start. I also want to see this by my different years. And so now I can see this over time, how things are changing, everything's preserved, it looks fantastic. And, from here, I actually just want to focus in on these 2 years. And then I want to see what is the difference, the difference between these 2 years. So what's that percentage growth look like? So if you're following along and you're familiar with how to build reports in that authoring experience, I just did a couple things that are really sophisticated and really difficult in some tools that require a lot of calculations and a lot of coding. So I created a metric-based calculation, which was my ratio. Then I created a dimension-based calculation, which was my growth from year to year. And then I did a dimension-based calculation on top of a metric-based calculation. So this column was actually a really hard column to actually calculate inside of here. And then if you take that to the next level and say, you know what, these companies, they actually should all be rolled up as one for whatever reason that might be. A couple things are happening here. One, I'm preserving my query shape, right? The layout of this report, which is very important. Everything is being recalculated. I'm getting those stars, right? Which we all know means I'm dealing with mixed currencies. And so, it's maybe not to be trusted because we're dealing with multiple currencies inside of there until we break that down. But all of those calculations are happening. Now, for me, being able to leverage and show this in a performant way against very large amounts of data all comes down to our query engine that Chris mentioned. Our Piranha engine leverages push-down querying to SAP and any other database we use within the platform. And you can see in this example right here, the query time. All that time is happening on the SAP system. So all of the calculations, the groupings, the filtering is all happening on that SAP system in the query that's being passed. And one piece to note in this query that we're passing, you'll notice that this is not just run-of-the-mill SQL. This is MDX, right? MDX is the most efficient and proper way to be addressing your BW environments. And we natively create that MDX as part of our engine, as part of our runtime engine that's creating all these queries, right? I can also see my calculations inside of here. And those calculations, again, this is not a need to learn a code or need to learn some proprietary language. I'm coming in a very drag and drop, in a very end user friendly way, creating those calculations, just like you saw, or in this case, the groupings. And when I run something like this, I can see that that syntax being generated is that MDX as well. Right? So very, very powerful capabilities inside of here to build out and design the reports you want without having to do a ton of rework. And that goes down as far as being able to see all of these metrics and all of these calculations, maybe now by my different product categories. Right? So here's my product category hierarchy. I want to be able to traverse through that hierarchy with all the same exact calculations, but with a different dimension. All very, very powerful stuff inside of here. So with that, I'm going to step out of my authoring persona, and I want to step into that end user persona. So someone who is being delivered dashboards, someone who is being asked to make decisions off of some of the analysis I just did. And you can see here, this is that same report that I just created right here. I have the ability to go through those hierarchies just like you saw. But once I'm inside of here, there's a number of things that I have additional questions, and I don't have a tool to make changes. So what do I do? Right? The first thing I do is I have that right-click menu here, and that right-click menu actually allows me to do a lot of great things, whether I'm drilling automatically or some of my favorite buttons, swap, add, and dice. I actually want to add in my customer. I want to see my customer breakdown by my components, and I want to see what that looks like. So you can see now my currencies will start popping up instead of the stars. I have my different customers, and even as an end user, I can get all of those hidden attributes as part of my data. Now, as a typical end user, I'm also delivered some very complex visuals that I maybe don't understand how to leverage, right? And so I want to be able to come in here at any point and say, you know what? Can you tell me what I need to know about this? Right, so here's a narrative that is being driven by the pyramid platform, giving a non-technical end consumer, some insights, some basic facts, some Pareto relationships, maybe something a little bit more advanced where we're dealing with outliers, right? That might be really helpful. I can go as far as actually categorical, where it's going to break down my different dimensional values and start to rank my metrics that are being found inside of this visual. And so now I don't have a visual that I barely understand and will likely not make a decision off of. I actually have hard numbers and viable information that I can go make a decision off of. That was all surfaced up by that pyramid platform. And again, all being derived directly querying your SAP data, regardless of where it is. That is the power that your end consumers are begging for, right? They're looking for that clarity in the dashboards and reports and visuals that you're providing to them today. Now, the one last piece I'll mention inside of here is, as that end user, we all know that our data sits inside of SAP, it sits outside of SAP. We're so excited to be partnering and to be working with DataSphere, which Florian is going to be covering right after this segment. But our ability inside of here to access data from all over the enterprise, whether through DataSphere or not, allows us to kind of bring together multiple components, independent, right, keeping them where they're at without having to move the data, but still allowing for interactivity between those different components. So although this report's coming from SAP, these other reports are actually coming from another random retail SQL source that's sitting around the organization. And so this is something that I think fills a huge gap. And again, the same approach that we're taking in our partnership with DataSphere is to provide that single view into all the different data elements all over the organization. Now, I walk through this example, understand that this can take a lot of different look and feels. So the last example I'll show here is something we've created called pyramid stores, right? It can be highly visual. It can be that dynamic and engaging experience right, that we all expect, not just a bunch of reports and visuals, right? I want to have my KPIs and things that are dynamically changing as I come in and out of the platform. I want to be able to look at my trending, and I want to understand, my week over week analysis, and have everything interact and KPIs work together, right? At the same time, still having those insights, right, that are being derived for me as I go through here. So if I'm at the store, or I'm someone at, at the corporate level, I have one single entry point into all of my data. So I have daily sales data coming from yet another retail source. And I'm looking at it, being summarized from all my different locations and regions all over the world, right? Breaking it down by my different garment types, things like that in this example, and being able to, obviously make changes inside of here that are, giving me more flexibility for that end user. Being able to then look at things like store KPIs and understand, where are the anomalies? Give me some narratives. Give me some of those KPI numbers on what my change has been through here. And again, more info on this scatter plot that, again, they look great, but man, I don't really know what I'm supposed to get out of it. So that retail worker who's actually in the store is now more informed and is out there making better decisions because we have lowered that barrier from an understanding perspective. My stock and sales, being able to come in and pull from that inventory system that I have and understand how all of that looks. Right. And then lastly, maybe my web stats. I want to understand how each of my different locations is doing from a social media perspective. Right. Are we getting the impressions? Are we getting the website purchases? And what are my Google Analytics? Right. A whole other data source being pulled in to this experience. What's that telling me? And how does that change week over week? So the point here is that I'm able to leverage all of that data coming from my SAP systems, all of those different SAP applications that are collecting data, even non-SAP, and being able to present that to a myriad of users in a single pane of glass experience provided by Pyramid. There's tremendous value in the retail space for that type of flexibility for the end users to get the insights and information that they need. So with that being said, I'm excited to introduce Florian. Florian with SAP is going to talk about DataSphere and that partnership and the value of that DataSphere with retail. So Florian, it's all yours.
Perfect, and thanks for having me. I think this is a kind of good opportunity for all of us to learn more about SAP DataSphere on the other side and what Pyramid Analytics is doing. So I'm looking really forward to the future of this partnership. And today's focus is about SAP DataSphere and how to unleash the power of business data in retail. And a couple of words regarding me. I'm solution manager for the topic of data and analytics, especially focusing on the cloud offering and respective for the industry business unit retail. And I would like to start with the strategy itself. And to set the scene, talking about our strategy is around the integrated data and analytics portfolio, which is part of the business technology platform, who you might have heard about it. So the integrated data analytics portfolio focuses on three main areas, like you see here on the screen, which we want to have to realize our vision. So on the one side, we have planning and analytics. We have data management and data warehouse. And last but not least, we have operational databases. And starting with the one off the left. So here it's about SAP Analytics Cloud, which is our consumption layer and our statement of direction when it comes to business intelligence on the one side and also planning capabilities on the other side. Because especially within the planning capabilities, we see a lot of retailers that invest into use cases like supply chain and financial planning. And with SAC, you could do that all in one single place. So in general, just to give you further insights on SAP Analytics Cloud, So SAC provides you also connection to different data buckets. I mean, we've heard about it in the last 15, 20 minutes, that it's very important to connect different data buckets. And here, connecting different data buckets coming from an S4 system, from a BW system, or even from a, for example, what is a common POS solution in the retail space, SAP Customer Activity Repository. And again, we also need to connect to third-party systems. And this is what SAC does, in particular, via import, or in best case, we also offer a live connection to those data buckets. And just to share with you one example, which is from one of our Germany luxury fashion retailer. So they used SAP Analytics Cloud to access all the necessary data to run a store, and they did that via mobile device. So they wanted to report on store performance, on financial achievements, inventory development, productivity indicators, and all of that by accessing BW Live. So that was the first part. And going to the right side, which is about operational databases. And here we see SAP HANA Cloud as the technology foundation layer for our so-called business data fabric. So there the data is accessed, processed, federated, and also persisted. And we see a significant growth in terms of data in the retail space. I mean, retail is always special. Retailers, they oftentimes have a huge amount of data. And some of them, that's from something from my experience that I can share, they're not really having an archiving strategy or data temperature strategy in place. So managing the hot, warm, and also cold storage becomes more and more important, and especially for retailers to reduce the costs on the one side, but also to optimize the performance on the other side. And last but not least, we now focus on sub-data sphere, which is in the middle of that. And for this, I would like to share you more insights on sub-data sphere. And firstly, talking about challenges, and this is something what we see on the market, and I think it's always important to understand the market problems, because cloud transformation has compounded the issue that we are now extracting and trying to recreate context across multiple clouds and on-premise systems. And while the technology has advanced over time, it's faster, it's cheaper, there's ability to handle at scale, it also brought new challenges. Think about the new required data sets that is spanning new projects, the plethora of sources to access. And while the cloud on the one side makes it easier to buy, it's also on the other side harder to manage. And that's why we need to integrate various systems, various data sources. And again, one example from one of our retail and fashion customers, they exactly face those challenges. They need to handle a huge amount of data, which I think is different to other industries. Think about various solutions that have different backend technologies, like a SAP Customer Activity Repository with HANA views, BW queries, or even CDS views coming from an S4 system, and so on. But in the end of the day, retailer, they want to do cross analytics. That's what we see on the market. And that's why they want to, or they need to bring those various data sources together. And we've spoken to many retail customers about their challenges. And I think this have emerged into 4 universal needs. And we can divide this into business and on the other side, IT. So the business, they require self-service access. And I think we have seen a perfect example how easily it could look like working with pyramid analytics to make the data available and work with the data, work with trusted data. And on the other side, we have IT, which want to centralize the governance and simplify the ever-growing data landscape. And one example from a retailer, from a grocery retailer in Germany, which is one of the top 10 worldwide, they came up with exactly those 2 separate problems. On the one side, from the IT perspective, they wanted to have faster time to market for the ingestion of new required data sets, and also the ingestion of SAP data into data lake solutions for non-SAP. And on the other side, the business requirement, which was about near real-time data, making available raw data access, not only pre-processed and filtered data. They also wanted to combine different multiple data sets. So for example, there was a problem with the high amount of reports that was required. So they needed to combine different data sets coming from S4, from a forecast and replenishment and a car system. And last but not least, they wanted to have user-driven reports and ad hoc data evaluation. And this is what exactly the Subdata Sphere can help our customers with, and especially in reducing the complexity of the landscape society. And now that we've talked about the challenges, I now want to dive a little bit deeper into Subdata Sphere. And just to give a common understanding, Subdata Sphere is a comprehensive data service which is built on the business technology platform and is the foundation for what we call the business data fabric. So it equips any retailer and also other companies for sure to deliver meaningful data to every data consumer with business context and also the logic intent. And I want to give you a couple of insights regarding the different capabilities you see here on the screen. So starting with self-service modeling, here you have the option as a business user to do it via graphical view, or for the ones that are more advanced, they can use SQL. Then data discovery. Here we are offering kind of how we call it business content packages, for example, for POS analysis. So you don't need to start from scratch, and retailers that have a license can start out of the box. And another addition could be the data marketplace for accessing data sets which are publicly available, or you could also commercialize them and provide it to the marketplace itself. Then we have data governance. Here we are especially talking about data lineage. So where is my data coming from? With Data Sphere, we ensure governance. So we have dedicated spaces. For example, someone who's working in the HR area only wants to see the HR data. Someone who's not in the HR area doesn't or shouldn't have access to that data. So that's just a simple example. Then talking about orchestration, here we provide capabilities for data transformation, SQL, Python programming, and other data operations we see. Processing and persistency, here we offer a comprehensive toolset for data warehousing, business semantic, and knowledge graph. So with that, you could leverage the platform's advanced analytics capabilities to store, manage, and analyze large volumes of business critical data in your cloud environment. And last but not least, data ingestion to connect different data buckets without a replication, because you don't want to have a lot of duplicate records. So you should see SAP Data Sphere as a kind of harmonization layer to connect SAP and non-SAP data coming from data lakes, relational databases, or any other data sets to get one view on your landscape. And in one major moment for our industry and also our customers, we've seen that we should go on with partnerships. And here we open up for a data ecosystem of leading technology vendors to provide really tailored integration between Subdata Sphere and also other solutions to simplify, integrate, secure, and govern the data landscape. I think we have some background noise here. So the first set of so-called industry-leading data and AI vendors includes, you see it here on the screen, we have Colibra, Confluent, Databricks, which is, I think, very prominent for retail customers, DataRobot, and last but not least, Google Cloud. And this is an ongoing kind of partnership set. So we want to become more partners into our ecosystem. So together, we will strengthen SAP's business data fabric as a new industry standard for an interoperable data strategy. And just to give you a couple of insights regarding those various partners we see here on the screen. So we have Databricks, which integrates SAP data with its complete business context with their data lake platform. So using, for example, Spark services to orchestrate the mass data. So then we have Colibra, which is a kind of extension of the data cataloging capability. So with that, we are also supporting non-SAP sources and providing trusted governed data across the enterprise. Then we have Confluent, which sets your data into motion with real-time event and streaming data. DataRobot to empower organizations to leverage augmented intelligence with auto machine learning. And one of the recent partnerships, and this was announced at Sapphire, is with Google Cloud. So we want to have a kind of unique analytics platform. So while retaining the complete business context, enabling organizations to discover new analytics and on the other side, AI insights. And one example I would like to share with you is from Germany's largest consumer goods and retail company. So they developed a fully automated AI data service that predicts the online sales for the next 84 days. So the actual requirement is determined down to the item level on the basis of ERP data on sales, prices, promotions, and many other influencing factors. So this requires dealing with a large amount of data, which I think represents the industry at its best. So really large amounts of data from different data sources. And in order to do that, I mean, millions of different item combinations are running through this system each by each. So the service itself takes place in Google Cloud. And however, this includes data from on-premise systems that are made available to Google, from the SAP BW for HANA data warehouse via the SAP Data Intelligence tool. So the forecast is made daily and is available within 2 hours. So the respective result then flows fully automatically from the Google Cloud back into the SAP S/4HANA system, which represents a fully integrated end-to-end data service. And I think this is a perfect example. And one of the benefits we saw here range from falling storage costs to lower administration costs. What's next? So now I want to set the scene regarding the kind of question, what is SAP DataSphere in comparison to the former we had SAP Data Warehouse Cloud? So SAP DataSphere is the next generation. It's a kind of evolution with enhanced capabilities. And the screen here shows exactly what it represents. So there are new capabilities like the analytical model. So this enables a multidimensional modeling experience with kind of capabilities like complex aggregations, time dependencies, data previews, and so on. There's a huge list of that. So those models are the foundation for making data ready for consumption then later on in SAP Analytics Cloud, which allows, in my perspective, organization to harmonize data from different sources and expand access to contextual relevant business data for faster insights and decisions. The other one is about the new called data catalog. And here the idea is that you have a kind of data catalog and you can search by query. So this catalog lists then the available data products. For example, in the retail space, one of those data products could be the data product of customer order. So the user can consume those. It's also possible to commercialize those data products, internal as well as external. And last but not least, talking about application and data integration. So here, multiple applications are available. You can search for all the semantics within a, for example, S/4HANA cloud system, and all that sales data, or you want to see all the sales data available by region. So you make the business data and the semantics with its original context readable, available, saving on the one side time, but on the other side also the effort. And quickly talking about the three main areas, which is about access, authoritative data, enrich all data products, and simplify the landscape. So with DataSphere, you can, so talking about access, authoritative data, I think this is important because if you copy data from your SAP applications and store that data in a data lake, you probably lose the business meaning of that data. And this is critical. And I think there are critical business objects like customers, products, orders, which are represented in many tables, each with many attributes labeled with cryptic acronyms. So the relationships between those objects are also hard to infer. And just understanding what table and attributes you need to take takes a lot of time. And so by doing that, you have the ability to transform and model the data copy for analysis. And even if you're rebuilding that, the organic changes in living source system are not reflected automatically. So that's where SAP DataSphere comes into the game. With that, you are able to see the data and in its relation to other data sets through an analytical model that users have enriched so that their organizational knowledge is preserved. The other one is about enriching the data products, and by virtually accessing or physically storing data from anywhere, leveraging trusted data partners, and also integrating them with industry-related leading data and AI platforms. And that kind of option, when we talk about replication, that let you transfer data in real time or in a scheduled manner for high-speed access to data that might have large volumes or reside in sources that you have slower accessibility. Customers can choose. I mean, based on the requirements you have, you can connect or even collect data and switch from a federated system or federated data to persistent data with just one single click. And then last but not least, simplifying the data landscape. And I think here's one kind of system outstanding for the retail or representative for the retail environment. It's about BW and especially our BW customers. And for existing SAP BW and BW for HANA customers, you can leverage the current investment and sustain your current access to sub-data with ABAP level extractors, staging data, and understanding of SAP data and the relationship with sub-data sphere. And we do that within the BW bridge. I'm happy to share probably more insights on that. And I think that's the last part, talking about the capabilities. And now I would say back to Chris.
Thank you, Florian. So excited to be a partner of SAP these days, especially with DataSphere that's out. And thank you, Joe, for an amazing demonstration. So why Pyramid for SAP? It sounds like there's so much happening here right now. You know, the end of the day, what we're looking to do as a partner of SAP is to help the SAP ecosystem stay intact. And your option today, right, from an analytics standpoint, certainly from a planning standpoint, is SAC when you're talking about leveraging DataSphere. But guess what? Pyramid Analytics can also help and coexist and help you leverage what's in DataSphere as well. Certainly from an analytics standpoint, there is a maturity model starting with descriptive, then going to diagnostic, then predictive, and then certainly to prescriptive, which is the holy grail in analytics these days. So if you're looking to go more robust and additional functionality, Joe did an amazing job showcasing our augmented analytics capabilities. And I'm going to talk a second about Gartner as well, and how we were touted as having fantastic support for that. Know that there's other options to help you leverage your investment that you've got with SAP today. Joe had mentioned, or maybe I mentioned, that our SAP integration is world-class. Outside of SAP, we certainly have the deepest functional integration around SAP today. Joe mentioned supporting hierarchies, not only parent-child hierarchies, ragged hierarchies, hidden hierarchies, multi-language, multi-currency support, all of the business logic that you put in place into your SAP investment when you configured it. We honor all of that, as well as currency calculations and model parameters, and the list goes on. So we're here to help you leverage that SAP investment that you've got, and we work fully with DataSphere. Perfect world, everything is going to be in DataSphere, or everything's going to be in SAP. We recognize that some organizations are leery maybe about taking some of their on-prem data, some on-prem applications, and moving that into DataSphere. We're here to help you with that because of our capability of direct access. If that is a challenge, certainly talk to us. We'd be more than happy to help you with that. But we do fully support that SAP semantic layer, and we give you those advanced analytic capabilities, which is why we are such a great coexist partner with SAC as well. We can also help you ramp up, right? Going from on-prem to the cloud. Nothing has to change at all regarding the analytical capabilities that Pyramid has to bring to the plate. But at the end of the day, what we're looking to do is help SAP consumption and have that increase inside an organization. A little more detail around the capabilities of what we can help provide and preserve your SAP analytic workloads. You know, you've got options today, and SAC is certainly there from a planning standpoint and a visualization standpoint. But when you look at Pyramid, and what we're bringing to the plate, how we're different. If you look at some of the third-party analytic vendors that are out there, the typical MO, the modus operandi, is that they either want to ingest it or they want to copy it, they want to move it, they want to duplicate it. And that is not what we're talking about. We give you that capability of direct access so that we can coexist with SAC and complement SAC, providing data prep, data science, augmented analytic capabilities, as well as that last mile analysis, right? That comfort zone where you're coming up with some last mile analysis and you want to take some of that data, bring it into Excel. We're going to help you with the governance around that and the security around that, all from within the Pyramid application. It's one of the modules that we provide as well. Pyramid certainly complements the business technology platform that SAP is providing. The fact that there is no data leakage, there's nothing that needs to be moved, nothing that needs to be copied. We fully support DataSphere as well as the SQL to HANA views, and honoring that semantic layer, keeping the governance, keeping all the business rules, the business logic that you've got as well. And certainly from our standpoint and what we can provide with our value that we're going to bring to your customers, leveraging all the investments that you made around SAP. One thing that I didn't mention that I'd like to mention right now is that we're certified with SAP. We're an SAP partner that's been certified 3 times in different technologies, including SAP NetWeaver, BW for HANA, as well as HANA. So we're here to complement SAP, complement SAC, and help you with your investment that you've made around DataSphere. We're going to go to Q&A in a second, but I'd like you to choose your own adventure if you'd like more information about what we're doing with our technology. I mentioned we have a platform, and if you'd like to take a tour of it, there is the link. You can check it out firsthand. If you'd like more information about our integration, our deep functional integration with SAP and the partnership with SAP, there is the link that you can check out as well. And one of the things I didn't get to talk to is the Gartner Critical Capabilities Report. We were the vendor this year in the Gartner Magic Quadrant with the greatest positive movement, both going over to the right and moving up. So with the companion document to that report is the Gartner Critical Capabilities Report that talks all about product. And there are 4 use cases. There are 12 critical capabilities, which look at features and functions. Any which way you want to wrangle that information, Pyramid is at the top. So feel free to download that report and learn more about the power of what we're providing with our platform, because we really came out ahead, head and shoulders above everybody else in that report. So feel free to take a look at any of the 3, all 3, a combination of the 3, however you'd like to do that. We can take you there. So let's open it up to Q&A. I'm checking out right now. We have a couple of questions coming in, and I'm going to start with Florian. A lot of retailers are using SAP BW. What scenarios do you see for BW customers moving to the cloud today?
I mean, this is really a common, I would say, use case, because when we look into the future of data warehousing is cloud, and there's no doubt. So the answer at the moment for a kind of transition phase is the SAP BW bridge here. So within SAP DataSphere, which was part of the presentation, there's a feature and a dedicated space that provides a path to the public cloud itself for SAP BW and also SAP BW for HANA customers. So when they want to transfer their SAP BW to the public cloud, the SAP BW bridge plays a crucial role for that. And there are functionalities that are going with that. I mean, at the moment, you can move up to 70, 80% of existing SAP BW artifacts with transfer tools. So what we recommend, especially for retailers, because of the amount of data, is that you do this in a kind of hybrid scenario by gaining experience with SAP DataSphere on the one side and still continuing to use existing SAP BW content. So that would be my recommendation. And I mean, the benefits are clear. On the one side, we want to protect the investment for BW customers, and we also want to connect with confidence and innovate with cloud agility. And that's why we want to have this path to the cloud environment.
Excellent. Well, here's another question for you, Florian. It might be all questions for Florian. What's coming in here? Can you please provide further insights how SAP runs on hyperscalers?
All right, that's a tough one, and I think that's one of the most important topics at the moment. So this leads always in a kind of architectural discussion. I mean, every customer, and especially retail customers we're talking to, they're operating on hyperscaler technologies, and I think there are two flavors on it. On the one side, to run on hyperscalers like AWS and Azure. I think Google Cloud is a common hyperscaler within retail environment, Alibaba. And on the other side, to interoperate with those hyperscalers. And within SAP Datasphere, we enable the consumption through third-party tools or BI tools, apps on the one side, but also furthermore, federation, which is supported by various data sources, especially also by hyperscalers. So by using different partner services that are coming from hyperscalers like Amazon S3, Google BigQuery, which I think in the end of the day leads to more flexibility for multi-cloud deployment, by also on the other side also ensuring the governance with spaces and also fostering collaboration on data for hyperscalers. So this is a starting point, and I think this is something which I would recommend to customers to go in a kind of technical architecture discussion and see. And I'm also happy to share a couple of customer examples who are exactly running or interoperating with hyperscalers. I hope that answers the question.
Excellent, excellent. I'll let you know if they type in anything else. Here's a question for Joe. Joe, what a great demo. Does data need to be extracted out of SAP for the functionality you showed us in the demonstration? You may be on mute, Joe.
My apologies. So it's a great question, and the answer is no. We, with our direct query first methodology, we are going to directly connect to your SAP systems. I think that's one of the biggest differentiators in the analytics space right now when it comes to SAP, is that in order to get at that data, a lot of the other technologies in the market are going to ask you to move your data, ingest it into their proprietary memory, or put it into their cloud storage area, really to drive up their charges, right, and their costs. I want to leave your data where it is. I want to support SAP, and I want to give you the opportunity to take advantage of all of that hard work that was put into making SAP, whether it's HANA, whether it's BW, the best it can be. I just think for organizations that have spent that time, energy, and money, it's a no-brainer to go with a solution that preserves all of that. So that direct query capability gives you all of the things you saw in the demonstration today. And some of the augmented capabilities as well are fantastic add-ons that can be leveraged when you're directly querying that SAP data. So short answer, nope, we don't move your data. I don't want to move your data. And I just want to give you that opportunity to access it.
And correct me, Joe, if I'm wrong, because I know you would. But if you were to move that SAP data, let's say copy it and put it into some other location, you're going to lose all that business logic and the security and those little details that matter when you're customizing it for your particular organization, right? So now all that has to be rebuilt.
Yeah, it has to be rebuilt. Again, you're moving the data, you're injecting risk, right? If you're anyone in the governance space, dealing with this issue, that is a huge challenge today. You don't want to have to move that data out. You don't want to replicate that data. And with the rising costs of some cloud storage, vendors, it's not, financially sensible to replicate that data. So yes, there's lots of different reasons why keeping it inside of SAP and just allowing us to access it is the best route.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, here's another question for you. This just came in. Why is Pyramid best suited for a retail-based solution involving SAP resources?
Yeah, so I think that really goes back to the fact that we understand the retail space, and Florian did a fantastic job of kind of explaining the complexities that come with the retail space. Your data is everywhere. In the demonstration we showed, from an end user perspective, you have data coming from dozens of different systems, whether they're your store systems, your point of service, whether they're your inventory, whether they're your social and your online statistics. Pyramid brings all of that together, whether it's through DataSphere with SAP or whether it's just through Pyramid, and provides a single view for those retail organizations to understand their business. If you took a different approach, we spoke with a retailer not too long ago, and we said, "How do you keep track and visualize all these different systems?" Well, I have 5 monitors, Joe. Isn't that what people do? Each system has their own monitor. And I said, no, like there's a better way. If we could have those systems communicate and blend them at the presentation rather than the data layer, is there value in that? And I think, at least for this organization, there is tremendous value in being able to keep the data resides, but allow for interactivity, like what you saw during the demonstration today from those different retail systems. So I think that is a fantastic value proposition for retail. I also think that retail has a very diverse user population, and I mean there's different technical acumen. You have individuals that are at the store line that are performing the actual sales, doing the arrangements of your different retail items around the stores, things like that. You have people that are up in corporate. You have people that are analysts. Our platform really allows for any type of user to come into it, and you're going to get the information that you need, and it's going to be delivered to you in a way that's digestible and that's familiar. And I think that's a huge, huge value prop as well for the retail space and really any industry in general.
Love it.
Hopefully that was helpful. Yeah.
That was very good. And just to add to that, we have got a couple of case studies up on our website. TFG, Pick and Pay, a couple of big retailers who are using SAP. You can read more about what they're doing and how they're leveraging that and the benefit that Pyramid is bringing to the plate. Got a question here for Florian. How do you drive innovations within SAP DataSphere?
All right, yeah. On the one side, I mean, the topic of innovations is such big. I think there are some different understandings of it. I would say when it comes to capabilities like machine learning, so we offer kind of data science enrichment capabilities within SAP DataSphere by leveraging SAP HANA Cloud data science capabilities. So this kind of machine learning is then part of SAP DataSphere and provides kind of end-to-end automated solution for machine learning experiments that could be happen on hyperscalers. And just referring to one of our customers, which is a customer in Turkey who is responsible for manufacturing and footwear, they wanted to improve their customer service by finding better ways to process the return items. So the idea was to look for an application that could accelerate how it evaluated reasons for returns, which would ultimately shorten response time. So with our machine learning capabilities, they were now able to predict if a return product is defective based on attributes such as supplier, product family, customer behavior, and so on. And this is just one example. I mean, this resulted in the end of the day to reduction of return errors by enabling the use of correct acceptance criteria at the time of the return. And I believe our partners also play an important role. Think about Google Cloud and all the AI capabilities that they're offering. And for example, partners like Pyramid. I mean, here it's important. I see this also in a kind of innovation area. And I believe that was the answer to the question.
Love it. No, very good, sir. Very good. Last question, guys. This one's for Joe. Does the Pyramid platform support SAP security models?
It does. So we are able to leverage the existing security that sits within SAP. So you're not replicating that as well. Whether we do that through, single sign-on with SAP, whether we do that through the ticket process within SAP, those are all supported as forms of authenticating your users from Pyramid to the SAP data sources, so that everyone gets the right data that they're supposed to get, and you don't have to replicate all of that logic. Another great reason not to move your data. That is a very complex, it can be a very complex, very arduous task that you do not want to have to redo over and over again, just so that you can run reports and visuals.
Outstanding. Love it, love it, love it. Well, that concludes our webinar today, folks. Thank you for tuning in and listening in, and thank you for the questions that just came in. We appreciate your time. Hopefully, you see some great value in the retail space with Pyramid and SAP building a better world. Thank you, Joe Bobian. Thank you, Florian Roeder. This is a great webinar, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having me.